Music matters. Alex, Ridgeway, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Of course.
First one in the new studio.
Yeah, it's nice and fresh in here.
Yeah, we're essentially sitting in like a damn near empty room, but new spot. So that's exciting. You're the first one here for it.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it, bro. Dude, thank you so much for playing the festival. We're very excited to have you for it. Been listening to your stuff for a while, and I felt like you guys fit the bill very well. So definitely excited to have you for it. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's kind of our little our summer highlight for the band.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
A Leo season activity for us.
Yeah, no, I feel it. Do you guys play? Because, I mean, that's kind of a cool place to start, too, because I know I was talking about it before, but you guys have been a band for a long time, been playing forever. Over the years, like, have you had to kind of learn what shows to take, what shows not to take, and kind of, like, figure out how to spread them out like that? Because I'm sure when you've, like, you know, just been around in the same area as long as you guys have, you get all kinds of offers. So, like, have you had to learn to be more selective on stuff over the years?
For sure. I think it's just built into us now. We only really accept what makes sense for us and is along our timeline, you know. We don't play every show we get offered, and we try to mark off checkpoints for our band, like we really want to play these venues, we want to play with these types of bands, and if it's not in that wheelhouse of we just try to make sure we're doing shows that we want to do, especially at this age, you know. We've been a band for 13 years, so
damn, dude, that's crazy.
And right now, like, we went through the era where we set up most of our own shows, and we were the promoter, we coordinated, we booked bands, we booked everything. And now it's kind of our time to just chill and see what happens for us. And so, yeah.
Damn, 13 years. That's so sick.
Yeah, just about.
Does it feel that long, or does it feel longer or shorter?
I mean, it probably feels like 10 years. But 13 is like, just because, like, the pandemic took away like 3 years from us, kind of. So it feels like, a good 10 years. But we started in high school, this band. So that's like the reason we just never broke up. We could have. We had plenty of chances to, but we decided to keep it rocking.
But there's something to that. That's really cool, I think. Did any of you guys ever have other projects, or were you guys all just only playing in Ridgeway this whole time?
There's been other projects throughout the years. Not for me, really. I've like filled in or played a couple shows with other bands, but nothing serious. But the other members have all had a few bands that tour and play shows consistently as well. Yeah.
That's super sick. I was talking to another band about this in an interview recently, but they were talking about just how, like, important, because they've been around not that long, but like a similar amount of time, and they were saying just how important, like, growing with the people is. Like, as you get older, you mature and, like, figure out how to, like, work through things like differences and just, like, learn how to communicate and stuff over the years. Do you feel like you guys have grown? Obviously, like, your relationship has grown and stuff too, but I mean, you practically grew up with these guys. Like, have you felt like over the years your guys' relationship has, like, grown and been redefined, and you figured out how to work within the confines of each other so regularly?
Yes. Being in a band is, like, chaotic and chaos, like, and I think a super challenging relationship to manage, that normal people don't really get the opportunity to, because on one aspect it's business, on one aspect it's friendship, and then it's like another huge thing is that it's creative. So that's gnarly, honestly. Like, a band, I would say, has the best chance of making it 5 years without big member changes, and most bands just do member changes when it happens, but we've been rocking, and
so you guys are the fully original lineup? Not
fully, but we added our guitar player a couple years in, or a year in, and then we added our bass player probably 4 years in. And so Jacob has been our bass player for like 9 years.
Damn.
So yeah,
but like pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. That was like kind of once we graduated high school and got out and started doing small tours, and then Jacob joined after the first couple tours.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is such a unique relationship to manage, especially in the business world, right? Because it's like it's impossible to take the emotion out of music, and I think the second you try to take the emotion out of music, you like, why are you even doing it at that point? But at the same time, like, sometimes throwing the emotion in like a strictly business sense is a very difficult way to operate. But it's like you need to harness that and be so vulnerable around these people on such a regular basis. But they're also, at the end of the day, like your business partners, you know? Have you guys learned over the years how to like maintain and wear all those hats together? Like, do you guys feel like over the years you've taken on different roles and stuff in terms of like touring responsibilities and things like that, like roles outside of just your instruments?
I honestly feel like I take a big brunt of the work of managing this band, which I do as like to make the ease of being in a band easier for my bandmates.
Yeah.
And I have the time, and I like just like coordinating a lot of the things. But so my bandmates, one of them, Wyatt, he does a lot of the design and the digital and website stuff and some of the technical aspects of the artwork and whatnot, a lot of that. And then Jacob and Chris, our rhythm section, really they're just there to rock. And like, I proudly I try to accommodate for them to be there just to rock. And like, just so like, I don't know, there's a lot of annoying stuff that doesn't need to be overcooked by 4 members that I'll just handle, and obviously I'll get approval by everyone. It's like, hey, this is the plan, is this cool, everyone available? And but yeah, it kind of gets managed by 2 members really, and then we all rock together. And
have you guys ever had management?
Have we ever had management? We've had like tour managers, but I actually like having just like being the day-to-day manager, managing it. It's pretty easy. That's
super sick. I feel like if you have the time to do it, like, you might as well just keep it all in your hands, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, at a certain point too, you're also like, I don't know, dude. I think like it's very like 50-50 when you're bringing on a manager that you haven't known for a long time. Like, it can really go one of 2 ways, and I think very often it can not be a good fit. So it is cool that you guys have kind of like embraced that over the years. Did you feel like it took time to kind of settle into those roles where like you and Wyatt were taking on a lot of the more like managerial front end stuff, or was that always just kind of the case?
I think I've always been the main driver of the band. Like I started this band with Hooper, my drummer, and we I wrote the songs and then I set up the shows. So that's just how it started as high schoolers. So it's just like kind of a bigger version of that, where I'm not just writing the songs like all alone anymore. Yeah, it's a more of a collaborative process, and but I like it. I've always liked it. I like setting up shows. I like booking, and my bass player Jacob has his own band where he's kind of doing that role of his band. Nice. Which is called Pop Free. And so that's where they get that out. Like, because I think it's fun. Yeah. I think it's a creative endeavor in its own to like, it's like you're moving the puzzle pieces. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like, I've grown into it, but it's kind of what I signed up for, and I enjoy it, where other people don't enjoy it. It is funny because like some bands and touring bands, the lead singer and songwriter does not want to do that, and like someone else, like the bass player, like does all the business stuff. But I just like I like managing, and I like writing, and I sing. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, as a promoter, I can say that like I think of the puzzle piece analogy in a very similar way. Like, that's my favorite part about throwing shows. I mean, like when I remember before I ever did it, I always perceived it as like the most complicated thing ever. Like, I always thought it must have been like so difficult and so hard and take so much time. And then I kind of just did it, and I realized it's just like a series of different puzzle pieces plugging in and like sending the correct emails and the right calls and whatever. It's really not that complicated. It's more so just about like staying on it and like being like on it, just really following up and like not falling off and stuff like that. Following up and replying promptly is so important. And honestly, it's hard. So it's really hard. But I mean, I'll also say, as a promoter, I think I love working with artists that like have also had periods of time where they were setting up their own shows exclusively. They have like a very good perspective, I find, and like are really good about like just answering very quickly and following up and like reading the run of show and not asking questions that are like on the advance and things like that. I feel like that just comes from experience. Oh yeah. When did you guys I guess
doing it since high school, when did you get to the point where you decided that this was kind of something you wanted to take seriously? Do you remember like a certain show or a certain era of the band that sort of shifted your perspective in terms of like, all right, like Ridgeway is something we actually want to pursue and it's not just like a hobby?
Yeah, probably around 2019, the beginning of 2019. 2018 is when we started. I think we went on our first bigger multi-state tour where we went to South by Southwest and we played one show out there, and then we did a bunch of Southwest shows. That was awesome. It was, I think, Jacob's first big tour with Ridgeway. It might not have been, but it's something like that. And then the next year, 2019, we went in to record our first full-length record, Give, and that just changed it all because we recorded the record in January, and we had a full U.S. tour. I was booking in January for April.
So you self-booked it?
Yeah, I self-booked it. And then while I was in the studio, and so
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I had done it small term, like California shows, Arizona shows, maybe some Oregon and Washington, but I just had the time in the studio. After I did guitar parts, I was just on the computer researching and booking. And that tour that year, 2019, 2018, it was kind of like, we dropped big cash on a real record with a awesome producer that we really wanted to work with, and then we also are just hitting the road on a huge endeavor. So that was kind of like the start of like aiming slightly bigger, and then that just became the norm pretty much right after. Is we always make sick records that are a ton of effort, and then book our own tours that are awesome and big and like whatnot. I mean, at this point where I just feel like the reason I say that is because like I will always feel like a local band, a small independent band. But like we're just doing it ourselves and going out on the road. I feel like it's more rare these days, and like honestly, I don't even do it like that anymore. Like, we are definitely more choosy on the tours we go on and whatnot. So yeah.
Do you remember that period of time as something you look back at as more exciting or like anxiety provoking? Because I would imagine like taking that leap and like jumping off the cliff in that metaphorical sense, and like spending real money on a real record with a producer you really want to work with, and like self-funding this tour and stuff. I mean, that's all like really difficult and like very like formative stuff. Do you remember those emotions being more anxiety provoking or more exciting?
It was all definitely just exciting, and something I was like, oh, it's about time, As a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be on Warped Tour all these tours. I'm gonna be a rock star. And then so it was just like exciting, and it's so funny because I would go on tour with $30 in my wallet, and often multiple of us would, and that wouldn't happen these days. And
really
now I feel like we all have more big boy bills and stuff, so it's kind of more stressful now to make it happen, but it's doable because we're just like more equipped for adult life. And we do have all more responsibilities. At the time, we only had our bands. And so we only had rock to do, and now it's like we have a lot more besides rock to do in our lives.
I like that. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think like when I was younger, I almost like I would like force my way into making my entire life music in a way, and I think like lately, maybe the past 2 years, I've really gotten better at like kind of redefining my relationship with like success in my work, and like just getting to this place where it's like not everything has to be about this. Like there can be other aspects of my life, one, and then two, like your self-worth is not dependent on like how far you get in this. And also like I think redefining what it means to like be successful in this is very big. Like, I think when you're in it, it's hard to take a step back and realize how far you've come. But it's like, dude, even the idea that like you guys are a touring band puts you ahead of like 99.9% of any band ever. Like even to think about it in that context, like really reframes it into like, okay, we're killing it. Like, because you really are, like, or anybody in that manner who's able to like tour or do this as a living or like make any sort of money at this at all, or just do it for an extended period of time and like have those experiences and stuff. I think redefining that relationship with success and like really chasing like what part of it makes you happy, that's how you make it like a lifelong thing, like something that you do for the rest of your life,
True.
Do you think you're the kind of person who'll make music for the rest of your life? Like, could you ever see yourself not being in a band, or do you think in some capacity it'll always be in your life?
It's been like this last couple of years where we've been like more picky and choosy and more spread out with our stuff, I've kind of been like, wow, like during some of the downtimes, I'm like, I'm pretty happy without rocking. Is it fine? Am I getting older? Am I outgrowing this? But then as of recently, we've just been writing new songs. We booked a new tour. We booked a couple awesome shows like this festival in August. And it's just like, oh no, I'm actually like really still excited about all this.
Yeah.
It's just like, now that we take more time off sometimes, like periodically, you know, like after a record cycle, we take like 6 months off.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be another record cycle in a year or two.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's just giving us the space to be able to keep it going more so than... I think I'm going to always be doing music.
Yeah.
I'm as a songwriter, even if the band ends at some point throughout the years, I think I'll be an old man writing a little solo EPs. So for me, yeah, I love music and I love songwriting so much and I think I'm good at it. And even if I don't do it for myself, I think I would potentially even just help other people do it.
Yeah.
As like a producer of some sort, maybe not an engineer, but like just maybe like a third ear in the studio with people, because I really love helping people write songs too. Is
songwriting the most exciting part of it too? I mean, obviously you're biased here because you're the lyricist in the band and also like the frontman, but like, is that what's most exciting to you as a musician? Is the songwriting aspect of it and the storytelling aspect of it?
Yes. And it's also stressful, but I think the storytelling is cool, but I think the like melodies and like just like the delivery of the vocal part is like so important to like listening to music. So like it's kind of a cool challenge to be like, okay, it's my turn to be that for a listener, and it's just a cool challenge that like I still obviously I'm like a normal guy that like writes emotional songs that people have no idea what they're about, but the fact that they kind of vibe to it is super cool. Yeah. And it's a challenge, and I like it every time, and every record is a new challenge because I'm like, what we're gonna do today, boys, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's so strange, but I almost think the manner at which you guys are kind of like having the relationship with music is actually more conducive to songwriting. I think sometimes bands and artists who like are like so caught up in the album tour cycle where it's like it's just like all they're doing. I think things like that sometimes can get to this place where like you're not living life and then you have nothing to write about. Do you feel like now that you have more time away, are you approaching songwriting in a different way at all because you have more time off and more experience and stuff?
That is interesting. That is definitely interesting. And among some of my friends, we do talk about that often. Like my songwriting friends is like, sometimes you're not living enough life to have anything to write about.
You know, nothing to say,
But honestly, you know, to me, I feel like I live the most life when I'm on tour, to be honest. And so right now, I think like it's just like more inner searching when I'm not on tour. So it's just like how deep within can I dig compared to how deep can I dig like outward into the world, you know? But at this point also, like we've toured the country like 4 times. There's not a city that's new to me. So it's like, it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
I love that I've seen the country, but it's just like, you know, driving to Texas is nothing new. Driving into New York City is not exciting anymore like it was the first time. It's still New York is awesome, but it's just not those same feelings. Yeah. So I think it's mostly within digging these days.
Huh. Yeah. Damn, that's a really interesting way to put it. I've thought about that, but never in that in those words. That's really cool. Like you're digging inside yourself rather than like you're almost like in instead of out in a way. That's a really cool way of looking at it. And I feel that even to a degree. I mean, like I think like things like I was talking about like opening this spot like to somebody yesterday, and they were like, does it feel real? And I was like, for some reason it hasn't hit me in like the way that I fully expected it to, even though this is like something I've wanted to do like literally my entire life, and it just for some reason it hasn't hit me in the way that I thought it would. And I do think like, as you know, because I've been doing this for like about 7 years now, and I do think the further you get along, like things become, I don't know if it's less exciting, but maybe less emotional. And I don't know.
It becomes what you do, you know?
Yes,
it's not,
yeah.
You know, no.
And I don't know if that's a bad thing per se. I've been trying to look at that as more of a good thing, I think, because I do think there's something to be said about like having the kind of relationship with what you love to where it's not just like obsessive and it is just like a love. It almost like protects the sacredness of it, you know?
I feel that.
As you've done all these tours and stuff, and you guys have done it for like a while, how have you remained like not jaded in this? Like, how have you kept it exciting? Have you had to kind of like, I mean, I know you mentioned you guys have more space from the music now than you once did. Do you feel like that's helped in terms of like not getting burnt out and like not getting too jaded in this, and, you know, still being in a place where it's exciting to work on it?
Yeah. You know, I think it might be important to just embrace getting jaded a little bit, and then having some space after. Like,
have you done that before?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, just like, it's like an album cycle. You like, the album releases and you're going hard for months, depending on, I don't know what other people's like, but our plan is usually it's like, okay, we have a release show, couple months, then we have like 3 tours lined up for the year or something like that. And one of those tours typically is a huge one, like a 5-week one, which will break us down. Or and then you need a little space, and you need to breathe, and you need to like learn how to fall in love with what the band is again. This happens every album, and it's just kind of you have to just like know that it's coming. And like right now where we're at, it's like, in terms of touring specifically, I think we're kind of trying to prioritize some fun things on the side and not just be so mundane. Drive show. It's hard because that's what touring is. But I don't know. We went to the Redwoods last fall when we went to the Bay, and we had like,
where'd you play in the Bay?
We played in Oakland at Eli's Mile High Club.
Nice.
And then the next day we had like most of a day off, so we went to the Redwoods, and which is like something we used to do as kids.
I love the Oakland Redwoods, dude.
So like, it was just, we're trying to prioritize some things like that, and like going and taking walks and whatnot, compared to just being on and off the road. Show drive. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that is like that whole show drive kind of exchange. That's what makes it feel like a job, opposed to like kind of going to the city, taking it almost as like a travel thing, and like really working to embrace the fact that you're in that city and you can do things that you can only do in that city and stuff.
Yeah. I try to get myself into nature, and that's like where we seem to be like thriving. Like, depends though. Like going to San Francisco, it's cool to go grab some like dumplings or something.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
You know, like when we're in Texas, try to grab some barbecue. And we have a couple places that like in certain cities that we visit often that we really love, like Mama's Royale in Oakland. That's like a diner we go to every time. And then like when you're in Texas, you hit Buc-ee's and stuff, and it's just kind of like slightly uplifting. Just because it's like you're seeing an old friend, you know. It's like so we try to prioritize some of those things that just uplift at all.
Dude, I bet like you guys touring so much over the years, the Rolodex of people that you've met in different cities is probably crazy.
You know, yeah, it's funny. This is what some people say that have been touring. It's just like you meet like lifelong friends your first couple tours, and then you stop. So it's
do you feel that way?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we have met lifelong friends those first handful of tours, and then it becomes more. I don't know. I'm not making as many lifelong friends.
Interesting. I wonder why.
I don't know. Making connections, meeting homies. You know, grab some instas, maybe play a show later. But like, it's just so like when you're young and you go on those first tours, you meet these people, and it's kind of like very relatable to a lot of touring acts. They all have that, which is kind of funny. It's like, it's just something so special about it. People are so eager to be traveling and doing what they're doing. And not to sound so jaded, but it's just like, I'm there for a different reason. I'm like giving my music life now, compared to like giving life to my music. You know what I mean? Like back then, like, it's just like, I don't know.
I like that way of saying that a lot. Giving your music life, or you said, say it again. You said,
I said, it's like you're giving your music life, because like when you release a record, what's the point if you're not gonna get out there and see it? So you're trying to give that some spark, some energy to it, make it real, get people to hear that new record and whatnot. Compared to before, it's like it didn't really matter what the music was. It was just all life, you know. Like it's like we just want to be there. We're just like so stoked, but now I'm there to give my music a reason. You know what I mean?
That's so interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like, I think music deserves a chance to be heard, and I think it should be, and that's like why we tour. You know, like I'm not touring because to see. I've seen all the places now, so it's kind of like a funny aspect. Like, what do you do when you've seen all the places? Like, it's not that exciting, but it's like, oh no, I'm here because I'm like giving my music a chance, you know?
That's so interesting to think about that. Like when there's that flip, because I would imagine in the early days when you're going on these tours, not only are you so malleable, but everything is new. Like it's all so new. And I think another way to frame what you were saying too is like you're so hungry to make it work. Like you're just trying to do anything that you possibly can to ensure that you get to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, we went on tour without merch and without recorded music like multiple times.
Yeah,
we were like, it doesn't matter. This is so cool.
We got to do it now.
We're gonna meet so many people. We're gonna smoke so much weed. Oh my god, it's gonna be so sick. Yeah, it's just like it's more about the music now, honestly, which is cool, and less about the like aspect of touring.
Yeah,
it's like we just looked up the touring. It was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, which I get to a degree. I mean, like think about that as a kid, right? Like the idea of saying like, oh, you can travel the entire country and every single place you go, you can play a show, and then go party afterwards with the people that you played the show with. Or even not, just like go play the show.
And a bunch of people that, I don't know about you, but I grew up watching this like TV channel called Fuse.
I know Fuse.
And like they had Warped Wednesday, which was like,
I never watched that.
It was like the Warped Tour summer vlog that was on a TV show. So it's like I just got this like insight into what touring is. It looks so cool. And then also there was like NoFX had a Fuse show called like NoFX Backstage Passport, where they did like a full world tour, and it was just like a documentary. And it was just like it released a couple seasons of it on Fuse, and I was like, wow, that looks so cool. Like just like going to different places and playing these, oh my god, different things. Like, so that's what like sparked dreams of even rocking, you know? It's always been like I want to be in a touring band. Yeah.
I mean, I think there is something to never demystifying it though, because I think it is important to acknowledge just like how rare of an experience that is. Like,
yes,
like almost nobody ever gets to do that. Like in the grand scheme of things, almost nobody.
Yes, it's a very small percentage, and I'm interesting at the Thanksgiving table the most compared to everyone that's working their day jobs.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of us have day jobs too, but we also have this huge aspects to our lives that have shown us so much more than the average person gets to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like, try to make it special and not like just mundane, like, because actually going to venue is not that special.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I've seen all these dirty clubs across the country. You know, it's like, you should try to like get out and see some nature,
eat some
food that's not just like garbage. And it's just a balance that we're continuing to unfold, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like over the years you've gotten a lot better at like figuring out how to tour in a way that works for you, and you know isn't as tiring and isn't as exhausting, and like, you know, is more enjoyable and stuff? What do you think were the biggest challenges of those first tours for you?
Let's see, you know, like I think like to me, maybe staying on someone's floor and living room and couches and a stranger is like fine, but like it's kind of come to the age and the spot where we're just doing this too much. It was like, I don't know, maybe just like grab the hotel. And like that actually is helpful to our like physical well-being, because like now it's like you get the hotel or the Airbnb that has like some coffee and food provided, and then it's like, you know, you wake up and you know that you can get some protein and some coffee, and that's already a lot better than like another option. But I personally still would like love to like crash on people's floors. But it's like for the betterment of the group to like probably just like grab like a hotel that has like a provided like complimentary breakfast or something. Kind of just helps everyone start better for this process you're doing. So that's kind of like something.
That's an important realization though to have, I think. like be aware, like, oh, I'm okay with this. That doesn't mean my bandmates are okay with this forever.
For sure. And it's funny because like I'm like, I'll just sleep in the van. I'm kind of like the van guy. But so it's like sometimes I'm like, okay, we're at this house, go sleep in there. You know? But that's like, yeah, it's like that's unfair to them.
Yeah.
So now I think we kind of like have realized like the best bet is kind of like the like a hotel that's out of the city, which is less fun.
Yeah,
because you're out of the city, but then it's like, okay, it's a cheaper hotel. You can get a better room at a better rate. Maybe some breakfast. Go grab some a diner.
Yeah,
and that's like not too expensive. So it's kind of like we kind of know those little moves that work for us. That
you're
make
dialed now.
Yeah.
That's
and then
sick.
there's a certain friends in certain cities where it's like it's a lock. It's like, of course we're gonna stay with that homie.
Yeah.
Like, and we're gonna save some money and we're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, that's cool. I mean, I feel like the balance is probably everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super sick. I want to ask about your last record because I saw that you guys went to Colorado to record it. It's technically album 3, right?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. I was curious, like, going into that situation where, like, you're going to the third project, the third full length, and flying to a whole different state to make it. I was curious, what do you think were the biggest differences that came from the sonics of going out and doing it somewhere else? I know you said you've recorded in a couple different places, but like doing so for this full LP in Colorado, how do you think that changed the course of the music?
Well, we have recorded all of our 3 LPs in Colorado.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So it wasn't new this time, but in general, we do love working with our producer Corey Kaufman at his studio in Colorado, and it's awesome. It's like just working with him, I'd go wherever he is. So Colorado's cool. We recorded in a town called Loveland. That's a small town.
Loveland.
Okay. So it's like really quite polarly opposite from any Southern California town. It's like there's one grocery store. There's a bunch of fast food and stuff, but it's like, you know, small town America. But it's just like the environment is something that it's like a familiar thing. We go to Loveland, we go to Colorado, and it's like dry as hell and our noses are bleeding, but we have an Airbnb and it's cozy and like sometimes it snows and it's just like kind of like when we're out in northern Colorado, we're working. That's just been the vibe, and we're creating a record, and we're used to it and we love it. We go there for Corey Kaufman, and he rocks. He's like our 5th member essentially, and
that's sick.
He's been like a mentor to me and one of my best friends. And
how'd you guys meet him?
He plays in a band called Gleamer, and years ago I booked Gleamer at a small show in Santa Ana, and I met him, and then we did a couple more shows, and then I think by like the 3rd show we played, like we kind of talked about, hey, maybe we should like, he's like, hey, I record bands, like, and we talked a little bit, and then I think I just emailed him or like Facebook messaged him like, I think we're actually down to make this happen, potentially, like how much, and like it was something that we could work with. And then that kind of started the relationship, and then I think one day we had an off day on a tour, and we actually tested him. We were like, can we record one song with you on this off day in Colorado? And we did it, and we were like, basically we just want to see, because we kind of want to do a record later, and I don't know,
see if it feels right.
And then it was so cool, so fun, and the song sounded awesome, honestly. So we were like, we have to crank the rest of this with our boy Corey. And
what was right about it? Like, what felt good about it? Was it just like the way he engineered? Was it like his input? Was it ideas, or was it just the environment?
Okay, back then, first of all, it's like the gear he had was sick, and it was perfectly, it's not like you walk into a studio and there's so much gear. It's just perfectly what we wanted. Some awesome clean vintage Fender, some perfect options for drives and chorus pedals and reverbs. Like, it's not too much. You only need a couple. I have this awesome chorus pedal, use this. I have this awesome reverb, use this through the vintage Princeton. That's like, oh my God, I didn't even know about a Princeton before I heard that tone, and I've used that amp every single record since. And it's just nice, and he's so pristine. And then we've also never worked with the producer, so he produces as well, and so that just means he's giving input on like, yo, maybe you should sing that line like this. I was like, whoa, you telling me what to do? But that was like the magic, and it was like, oh, you let him join in, which I've never worked like that before with anyone. And I don't know, we created this relationship with Corey that works, and he's our boy now, and like it was just so magical, and it's still so magical every time we go out. I can't wait till we go out again because he has a brand new studio he just built, and it's like
sick,
amazing. It's called Deep Down in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Nice.
And, can't wait to get out there probably next year.
That's super sick, dude. Yeah, I feel like there's so much humility in a good producer-artist relationship because they are like the one person I think sometimes they can get to certain artists. Like they have, I think, such a specific way of input a lot of the times where like it's so interesting, bro. Like that relationship's almost like a therapist. Like they have to like tell you their most forthright and honest opinions and do so in a way that is just wholly productive. I feel like
it really is. It's like, it's funny because I do tattoos and I feel like a therapist sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, his is different. It's like, oh, you're here for like 2 to 3 week retreat.
Yeah, dude.
And like he works so much with every single individual in the band, and just like right in your ear, being so encouraging. And like, I know I can get crazy. I can be paranoid. I can be like, I get into my spot every record where I'm like, that take wasn't good enough. Like I'm doing 100 takes and he's like, yo, should we move on, bud? And I'm like, no. And he's just like cool with me. So like, yeah, it gets like, it's an intense job, and like every band is different. So I admire him. Yeah. Like I can't even believe he can do what he does for our band, but he does it with multiple bands, which is really cool. Yeah,
you gotta have so much patience, I think. Like you gotta be so understanding as a producer. Also, I think what you just touched on there at the end is really key too. Like you're working with so many different personality types, and those personality types are musicians. That is like such a big archetype of person to try to work with in almost any way you slice the word. Like musicians can be so many different things, but they almost always are intense in some regard.
Yeah.
Like I think,
good way to put it.
Yeah, you know, like some are like, they're intense in very different ways. I mean, I think I feel that as an interviewer. It's like musicians, they're always a unique personality, and that can mean a million different things, but they are, I think, often unlike a lot of the people that like they just tend to think differently than I think people who aren't necessarily in the creative headspace all the time. So I would imagine him as a producer, he has to figure out how to navigate those relationships in such a specific way. It's such a fine line to toe, because I would imagine like when you're working on other people's art and they're there with you, and I mean it's collaborative for sure, but like you are the outsider in that situation, not you but him.
Yeah, I think it's really you gotta work with people that are like accepting of like, and the thing is like you can like with him, and I don't know about other producers, I haven't worked with too many other people, but it's like he's like, he like is like clear on the level. It's like, do you want me to be involved, or like, and if not, it's fine, I can like mostly produce and like just push your ideas and push and just enforce what you want to do. And
damn, he's that forthright about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I've told him every time, like, no, I want your input, especially after like the first song we did. Like it's just like, oh, I see like what could be done, because back then I think we needed help, we needed thoughts. Now he's mostly pushing what we have, and I'm like kind of like, yo, I mean, why don't you give me some ideas here? And he's just like, no, dude, because you already got them. I'm like, you're right. So we've grown in that way with him, which is really cool. But there's a level, and some bands don't, they perfect what they want to do, and they're like, no, this is what we're doing. Like this, like, can you just press record is what they say. And he can do that too, you know? So.
Yeah, that though, I mean, from the producer perspective, that's probably awesome, because you're like, fuck it, I can just engineer these guys essentially, and like
a bunch of people do that.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. But I think sometimes, like, I would imagine, damn, it's gotta take so much selflessness to be a producer that like has all these ideas, but to like forego sharing them because you want to just push forward the idea of your client. That's such a special trait. I think that would take so much understanding, you know?
For sure. You have to be very like emotionally intelligent too. I think you have to hear the songs and know the people at that point, you know? So,
and I think you got to know when they're checked out. Like you got to, I think, do a really good job of reading them and figuring out like where they're at with ideas and stuff, and like figuring out like, are they really telling me how they feel about this, or are they not? That's such a difficult thing, I think, to do. Yeah. Have you so you guys have recorded 3 albums with him, you said? Yeah. And you think probably that he'll be the guy for probably the length of time that you guys make music?
I think we are open to doing whatever at this point. Yeah. But we do love him, and we do love working with him, and it works. And it's just like, I don't think we're gonna like, I think like we'll probably record some music elsewhere in the coming years, just like, but maybe just like an EP or a couple singles. But like, because we've done 3 records, and now we're like, oh, we have time to experiment before we crank out another record, so we might do an EP or something. Yeah. And so I'm up in the air now. Honestly, it can be fun choosing someone else or doing something with someone else. So keep that in mind. And but he knows we're his dogs. He's our dog, and
that's awesome.
We'd love to. Yeah, we'll always work with him in one way or another.
Yeah.
Even if we worked with someone else, I'd be like, "Yo, Corey, mix this.
Let me know. Yeah.
Master this. Like, honestly, like, be a part of it. He's a part of our team, so no matter what." And he's like, he wouldn't be offended, and he like,
that's beautiful.
Just wants us to do what it makes us happy. At this point, it's not really client-based work. It's like my friend.
That's so beautiful, bro. It's so cool when it transcends that too, and it's like you can still work together and fairly compensate each other and like have such a beautiful mutual relationship, but it can extend both to music and to friendship. I think that's really beautiful.
Hell yeah, it is.
What this last project, by the way, I love the last album, really good. What about it do you think, like, what were the biggest lessons that came out of the most recent project? When you look at it and you listen to it and you listen back and you look at people's perceptions of it and stuff and your own perception of it, what are the biggest changes that you think were reflected on that project opposed to the prior ones?
You know, I really aimed at making this like a wear your heart on your sleeve album, where it's just like all these songs about heartbreak and like emotions and memories and whatnot. And I just kind of wanted to like just do it, even if it was cringy, you know, kind of like I kind of just like let it out there. And I was like kind of like, because that's like the music I like that was so important to me growing up. I'm thinking about albums like Young and Hopeless by Good Charlotte. Like that was like, is so poppy and rocky, but like so emotionally raw. Yeah, talking about relationships, talking about their father that abandoned them, talking about their mother, and like I love that record. That's just like one example, you know. And then like another band, this band Alien Boy that I love. It's like they just sing these like heartbreak, heartthrob, teenage love songs. Yeah. Over and over and over and over, and I never get sick of it. So those were those two aspects I like really like took into like how I want to make my record. Yeah. I don't want to pretend to be too cool at all.
I love that.
I want to be emotionally vulnerable and make this a process for me. And this last one was totally like for me in like terms of like I wasn't writing something to have someone be like, that sounds cool. You know, I wasn't writing for a listener. I was like, I want to write music that I love, and I want to write like my story from the last couple years, and like the memories that are involved in all this. And some things I learned was just like, I think I could have been more collaborative, which now I think my band is at. We're like way more collaborative, and I really took the reins on that one. Yeah, and just because it seemed like at the time that was right, and I think it was. The album came out really how I wanted it to be, but I think my bandmates were at they're like, okay, it's whatever Alex does, whatever Alex writes. Where now I'm kind of like, oh no, what do we all want to say a little bit, you know? Yeah. I'm obviously still writing the lyrics and whatnot, but I want it to sound more like a unified voice moving on compared to like someone's like I'm talking to someone.
Yeah, I really love what you said about the making music that isn't trying to intentionally be like cooler than what, like, you know, just be cool. I think that there's a lot of humility in that as well. I think like it's really easy sometimes as well to like embrace things for the sake of them being different and not because you actually like them. I think like it's really important to be very keen and aware to things that you do like, and if those things are very different, that's totally okay, of course. But I think like very often we can embrace difference just to be different and not embrace difference because we actually just like because we actually enjoy it, you know. So I think that's a really cool idea to kind of like work on that process of being like as vulnerable and as emotionally out there as you can be, instead of like you said trying to be overly cool.
Yeah, I mean, we are cool. Yeah, you know, like, and we're dorks. Yeah, so like I don't know, don't like just be ourselves is like super important. Yeah, and that's what Corey also helps a lot with. He's just like, sometimes it's like when you're trying to get the perfect take or deliver something right, he'll be like, well, the notes were right, but is that you? You know, it's kind of like it gives you a chance to like reflect on it. It's like, you're right, that's like not me. Like, let me give that more attitude. Let me give that like the right attitude. You know? Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Those are like the intangibles. I mean, dude, I always say this, and this kind of related, but I always say like all my favorite singers suck at singing. For real? Because I just feel like most of my favorite singers are the singers that you can like feel the most. Like the singers that are the most expressive in their delivery do tend to like sing with the most emotion in any regard, whether that's like anger, sadness, or whatever, or even like happiness. But I think like I would rather have somebody maybe not hit the right notes, but I know how they're feeling based on the expression of their voice. I think I would enjoy that more than somebody who's hitting all the technically right notes, because what kind of listener actually knows the technically right notes or not, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, if it's getting released on Spotify, the notes are probably right. It's just like, it's not delivered so crystal clean, which is so important to rock music, is like, deliver it with some edge, some attitude. Where's it coming from? Make sure it's not just notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you guys, over the years, in terms of like being, actual musicians, I know you said like you started this in high school and you've been doing it for so long at this point. How, I guess, just speaking for yourself, how do you feel like, what are the biggest improvements you found as a musician specifically from when you started playing and stuff? Like, I'm sure you've gotten way better, but were you self-taught? And what was that process kind of like growing up, learning how to play? And how have you been able to refine your playing in recent years?
Oh, okay. So I think I have like much more control over my voice these days. I think, and I've come to, I used to like, I like singing more than playing guitar now. Yeah. Which is just like...
Interesting. Did that change?
Yeah, I mean, before I was just a guitar player that I just needed to sing because we need a singer. And it'd be easiest to just sing. So I took choir in high school, and I was the worst singer in choir. Maybe not the worst, but like I was not like a very good singer. Yeah. And, but I learned a lot how to control your voice and like sight read and blah, blah, blah. And then... but I was always singing these challenging pieces in high school in choir, where that kind of led into the beginning of the band and like the beginning era, where it's like a lot of those like first records and EPs, like I'm going for something that I should not be doing. Yeah. I am attempting something which made the like this like guy is like straining his voice. It sounds awesome. That's like cool. Yeah. But like these days I'm like, oh no, I know exactly where I need to be sitting as a singer. And I think like this most recent record, Wall of Stars, is like, it sounds like me talking into your ear, because that's just how I sound.
It's very close.
That's like who I am. That's like how my voice sounds when I sing. And like, I think that took a while to like grasp that, put yourself where you need to be put. Put yourself in a place for success, compared to like having these really hard things to sing, or high pitch, or screams where you're gonna go on tour and you're gonna blow your voice out. You can't sing half the dates. Yeah. So that's kind of like that's how I've refined that. And honestly, as of recently, I've gotten like worse at guitar just because I don't do it that much. So I'm trying to fall back in love with that soon. It's like I want to say I'm doing it now, but I want to do it soon. I need to have a date with my guitar or something.
Just learn something you love even if you've never learned before.
Yeah, something. I don't know. But
that makes a lot of sense what you're saying about singing, though. Like, I think it is interesting, because I think some singers, they try to write such complex melodies and such complex parts and like such difficult, they almost write themselves out of songs sometimes.
For real.
Which I think is really, really easy to do as a singer. And I think it's almost preferred sometimes to just stay in your pocket. Or I think if you don't stay in your pocket, find where you strain that sounds good. Like find your breaking point that actually sounds good. I think a lot of singers have that, especially in like different genres of rock music and stuff. Was it, I'm curious too, like as you guys kind of went on and started playing more, how did you become a better vocalist and frontman on stage? Like, was that ever, were you more like nervous to go on stage when you first began performing, and have you had to work through that over the years, or have you always been as comfortable on stage as you are now?
I'm pretty comfortable on stage. I don't really think about that too much, but that's not to say I've never been nervous. Like some of these, we've had the opportunity to play in front of some pretty gnarly crowds, and like it's not our audience that we've been playing in front of. Like some of these opportunities has been like, oh my god, this is like 1,000 people, people that have never seen me. And in those situations, like that has been like a little bit nerve-wracking, but I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in myself, and I know like what we do is actually pretty damn sick. And so once I get out there and the music starts, I start to feel good. We start to rock out a little bit more, and I think my band is really embarrassed by my jokes, but I think I'm funny as hell, so I'm gonna keep on joking around and just being off the cuff, because I think people relate to that and they see that I'm a normal dude. I'm not like a flashy rock star. Yeah. Which A lot of bands are flashy rock stars, even like small bands.
Mm-hmm.
Bands on this fest we're playing, they'll be flashy. You'll see me, you'll be like, that's a real guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, I think that's a really big point of it. A few of my favorite like front people that I like just keep it real as hell, and they always have been. Like, so even like going back to like Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, he wasn't flashy. He was like, he'd be fucking around with the crowd just because he's in a weird mood that day. And same with me, I'm just gonna try to be myself always.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do find myself leaning into like, oh, I'm saying the same joke 3 nights in a row. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm
like, don't be so scripted, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I have stories I tell and stuff. Whatnot, but
that makes sense. I would imagine it's difficult to be, because I mean that's really like that in itself. What you just described, I think, like the whole like don't have a script thing. That's like a practice in presence. Like that's like, I think, trying to like really be, I mean, and I would imagine this is hard, but like trying to really be within yourself while you're doing this kind of crazy inhuman thing, which is performing. It's like you're trying to be very natural and be within yourself and just be in a normal state, when in reality, like that's a really, really crazy opportunity. You know, I would imagine it's difficult to kind of like be that present and just try to like relate to the crowd in that manner and be just non-provoked on stage. Like, do you think you've gotten better over the years at kind of just being yourself on stage and not trying to be more scripted and kind of put on an act?
Yes, I think I've gotten better at it. I don't know. When I was really young, I'd be like, I don't know. I just like, I really wanted my shows to look like those shows that I look at on YouTube that are so awesome. Like Title Fight and Joyce Manor and whatnot. And I wanted mosh pits and I wanted jumps and we were like definitely pop punk energy. And like, I wanted that and I did my part to contribute to that. But then, I've just found I'm more comfortable with myself in general. So I think that goes onto stage and like onto the stage and translates, like, you know, I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin than I was then. Yeah. So I'm definitely more comfortable on stage, and that's for me. I don't know. I know everyone has a different relationship with it, but I was like a little attention hog as a kiddo. I really loved attention, wanted to be on stage, wanted to be like the star of the show. And I think that's in me as just like, it's in my DNA now, but I don't want it, but it's just what I do, you know? It just came back to like, it's just the thing I do. Which
feels like a better relationship, though. Not wanting it and just doing it. Like,
for sure.
It does feel like a better relationship.
I'm like
with
way more introverted these days, but I'm like, I still find myself being a front man of a band. So I don't know. Just gotta be myself and not push it. You know?
Yeah, 100%. When did you find that changing? Like, was there a point or a certain show you could point to where you, well, I guess like, I'll ask you 2 questions in this. Is there a show or a specific point within Ridgeway that you got to a place as a performer that like one specific show that really changed a lot for you, either in terms of momentum or in terms of like a lesson that you learned? Like, are there any like early days shows that you point back to and you're like, oh, after that one my entire methodology was different, or like that was a returning point?
Yeah, I mean, well, like there's like, I think I've like watch myself back on some videos and stuff, and like I hear myself talk and I'm like, oh my god, I'm cringed out. Why am I like such an extrovert? Like, why am I, calm down, like don't be so excited, you know? Like, that's like what I think to myself. But then also like, yeah, for sure, chill out. And then I think like in 2021 we went on a tour with the band Movements, and the first show with them was at this beautiful venue in San Francisco called The Chapel. Oh, and
dude, like, it was one of the best. Yeah, one of the best venues there.
The Chapel.
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
I never forget this memory, but it's just like, that turned into the start of an era for Ridgeway. That was like our first, it wasn't, I don't know, we've played to like 300 people before that, and then like this was like our first, like this is 500 people sold out.
That's like a 500 cap. Yeah, like, exactly. Big 500 cap too. Yeah. There's a balcony, and
so it was just like, I was hella nervous, but I think that was like the shift of like, I don't think I was myself at all that day. Like on stage, it was bizarre. It just felt crazy. But then that was a whole week or two tour with Movements where it was just like 500, 600, 700 every night. By the end, the tour went up the coast, ended in Fresno, Strummers, which is 600 or something. And like, dude, I felt so comfortable. So it's just like that tour really just did it. I was just like, these are my people. What the fuck is up?
Yeah.
and hella freaking Fresno's hella full of Mexicans, so they were like, dude, what the hell? This guy on this emo show is Mexican and he's big? What the fuck?
That's
you look
sick.
like us. And I'm like, yeah, motherfuckers. So I just got hella comfortable performing to these big crowds, and like I realized, like, yo, you can have fun with this. Like, you can yell at these people and they're gonna be like, fuck yeah, right back. And like it's just like fun. So I think that tour like taught me how to do it. But that being said, like I think the biggest show we ever played was with this band called Finch, which is like an older emo band. We played the House of Blues in Anaheim, like pretty much sold out. It was like 1,700 people.
Yeah.
And that was like, I was still nervous, and I was like, dude, this is all an older audience.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, on that, they all adored us. They
That's
adored
sick.
us. Like, look at these young rockers. They're doing pretty good. They're doing emo, you know.
Bro, that is like old crowds. They always think they can dictate what is cool or not. They're always like, you know, this is cool. I approve of this.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So
Yeah.
that goes into we have staying power in different scenes. We can play with these old bands, play with these young bands, play with garage bands, emo bands, screamo bands.
You guys definitely can. I feel like you can actually navigate a lot of different bills. Like you can play on harder things and things that are less heavy. And I feel like your guys' sound, and also just like the eras of Ridgeway, also kind of give you like, you know, you could go play for a more like pop punk type band or a more indie band with the most recent record or like whatever. I think there's all that kinds of different ways you could go.
Yeah.
When you guys, I'm curious too. When you were growing up, because you're from OC, right?
Yeah.
Like Dana Point area?
That's where I'm from. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So like all like in the OC kind of area.
Yeah, South OC.
What was the scene there kind of like when you were growing up? Like, were there a lot of bands around you when you guys first started playing? Like, did you have a lot of choices in terms of like who you could hop on bills with and stuff? And did you kind of have to like build that repertoire up over the years?
This has a lot to do with how we run our band now, because it's just like there was not that much going on. There's no venues in South OC. There's just not.
So when you say South OC, that's like closer to Long Beach, like further down?
Long Beach is above OC, essentially on the coast. But I'd say like Irvine and South is like South OC.
Gotcha. So closer to San Diego.
Yeah, it's like on the bottom end of,
Okay,
OC.
gotcha.
But it's just suburbs, really, beach towns, and like kind of like middle class. And now it's pretty upper class. But yeah, a lot of family homes. So there were some bands like, trying to think. Growing up, like I think the Boys and Girls Club I went to had like a battle of the bands one day, and I saw a bunch of like cool bands that were doing like alternative synth shit and like hardcore bands. And then by the time I was a freshman, or right before my freshman year, I somehow got word in on this show that was happening in like some mansion's backyard in San Juan Capistrano, and I went, and there was like 9 hardcore bands playing in this like backyard of this mansion. And that,
just where you grew up, like there in South OC?
Yeah, it wasn't really a neighborhood I really went to, but it was like this gated neighborhood. I went in, I had a code, and then I went to the backyard, and the dad was grilling burgers, and then way down into this backyard there's just like probably 200 kids, and then like
sick.
Like 9 hardcore bands played, and like it was just, it turns out I stuck on to like a couple of those bands. I met some of them. I was just like, I was probably the baby to them, because they were like probably graduated high school and I was like about to enter into high school.
Oh, so you were like 14.
Yeah, so 15. I was like 14.
Yeah.
And like some of them were like 18. And like, I know that's like not that big of a gap, but back then it is.
It's a big, it's
like
a big,
some of them have mustaches, I don't, you know? And so it's like hardcore happening. And that kind of showed me that like, yo, there's just like bands that played at this house. And so yeah, from there, we ended up throwing all of our shows our own at houses and like garages, and like maybe there were some random events that we would hop on. Those would be the whack shows. Yeah. It would be like, oh, it's like a community stage and at the festival of arts. That type of stuff would be horrible. Because like when we were on Tumblr and we saw how Joyce Manor and Title Fight shows looked, we wanted our shit to look like that. Yeah. So yeah, I threw a bunch of shows at my high school girlfriend's house, and we called it the Cuddle Pad.
Cuddle Pad.
And we learned how to like, I learned like after the first couple shows, like, okay, you invite bands from other towns, and like a San Diego band, bring them in and give them $40. Yeah. I save up $40 for 2 weeks or whatever, and like pay them $40. They'd be like very happy to come play. Yeah. And then it's like, that's just how it grew. And then like a touring band, and then our first tour we did as high schoolers was like, oh, tour kickoff at the Cuddle Pad, $5 at the door. We made some money for the first time ever, and like use that money for gas. And we just learned everything self-grown. It's kind of funny. We just like collabed. Like we met one other band in the high school over. That band's called Memory Loop now, and
they're still around.
They're around. They used to be called Pedestrian, but they're called Memory Loop now.
That's crazy.
And
they're still around.
It's so they liked us, we liked them, and the shows, like we started playing a bunch of shows together where we built like, our friends from Dana Point and their friends from Aliso Viejo, we all get together and all of our friends get drunk and they watch us play our guitars. and then since they're all drunk, I was like the one that's like, yo, mosh. Like, so I really like that shit. But yeah, that's like kind of like, it was just self-grown and South OC and tours and DIY, and then you start booking other bands on OC and stuff, touring bands.
That's really like I always think such a key part of processes like that, or just like following wherever the dots lead you. I think that's such like a fun thing to be able to do growing up. I mean, I think I did a very similar thing with all this, and it's like, it's so weird because like the place that it ends up growing into is not at all what you expect when you first began. And it's just exciting to like just constantly say yes, I think, and like follow whatever comes next. And you say like, oh, we played with this band, so like they asked us if we want to get on this bill, and then we met somebody from there, so they asked us if we want to get on this one, and they need an opener or whatever. And it just all kinds of, it builds that way in a very homegrown way, which I think is actually a lot more exciting than it just like all taking off at once. I think a lot of bands get in this place where like and I think this is kind of like more so like a post-pandemic thing with TikTok and the internet now, but I feel like excuse me. I think so many bands now are chasing a big moment of virality where everything goes from like 0 to 100 really fast, opposed to that more like homegrown, like we're going to like step by step, brick by brick, begin to build this up. And I think sometimes that catches a lot of people, but people like by surprise, and they're not ready for the next moment,
Yeah, it is. That's real. A lot of bands that are like touring bands now, successful touring bands, that's how they started. It's just like they just like got a viral song, and then an agent wanted to make money and then picked them up and then put them on a tour. Yeah. And then now they're touring, and then, but it's like, I don't know. I don't have too much respect for it, but I also don't care that much. Yeah. Like, okay, if people like listening to the music, then it has a space in music. Sure. So there's that, but that's
a good way to put it.
I'm very happy of my route. I feel like I was born in the 80s or something. Like I feel like I'm like a part of like the Black Flag Minor Threat thing that they built, where it's like you work on your community, you build up, you hit up other venues, other towns, you meet other bands, you go on tour. This is how you do it. I did that. Yeah. So it's like, and I don't know anyone that's done that, honestly, like anymore. Like a little bit, especially LA is just like, it's like everyone's so cool, and then like one day you're very cool, and then like you get an agent. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't come from LA, so I came from Orange County. Not saying it's cool or anything. It's like, it's just, if anything, it's more privileged, and like a lot of us had like garages in our houses where we can have band practices and stuff. So it's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of beauty in that community building. I think like I said, like the way I think about it, it just like launches you into all these different like points in your life and experiences that you normally wouldn't have. Like it's so weird to try to track back like the butterfly effect of stuff, right? Like think about like all the tours you went on. Like I bet so many of those tours just came because you happened to play one show that you got on because you met somebody else prior, and you met that person because you met somebody else prior. I bet there were, am I right about that or no?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's really funny. Yeah. I don't know where you came from.
Yeah. I mean, I came from the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area and then moved here 3 years ago in LA. Moved here.
Why'd you hit up Ridgeway?
I found you guys through Cherry Domingo.
Oh, cool. See, that's like one of them. Like,
well, here's an example. Like, I found you guys through them because you played some shows with them, and I found your stuff, and I listened to the last project. I liked it a lot. And then prior to that, I found Cherry Domingo because Mario saw them at a festival, and Mario went to that festival because of our friend Jake Nuffer, who we met through our old roommate, who I met because I went to high school with. So it's like, to think about it like that, it's so weird that like, I mean, that's like a crazy thing to think about. Like I technically am here right now talking to you because I had a high school class with that kid.
Yeah. And like, I don't even know, like I don't even remember how I met Cherry Domingo, but we played, honestly, I thought Cherry Domingo was corny as shit. And then like, I think we got invited by them to like play a show. And then like, I met them and I saw them and I just flipped. We played it was like one of the first shows after the pandemic. Opened up 2021 at the Smell, and we played with them, and it just flipped. Sorry if you're watching this, Cherry Domingo, but I thought you were corny. But then I thought you were so much cooler right after I saw you guys and met how nice they are.
Oh,
and
they're
now, we love that band.
Sweetest people in the world.
They're hella sick and hella fun, and I think they bridge a lot of gaps between they do rock music and pop music and fun shit and emo shit too.
Yeah. I totally think you're right. Those guys are so sweet, man. I love them. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it's so cool to think about how things can just kind of spiral and you meet more people through that. And that I think is how community building actually happens. It's taking those leads and following them, I think, and trying to have the courage, I think, to be okay trying to make friends with somebody, and trying to bridge that gap, and I think extending a hand, really. I think it's really easy to just never pursue the relationships that potentially kind of
awesome,
seed. Yeah, I think it's important to try to follow those seeds and keep trying to make friends with people who you meet at venues. Keep trying to make friends with people that you just like their music, and just see how things grow. And I think it's exciting in that way.
For sure, yeah.
What so I'm curious, when you think about all those early shows and stuff, when do you feel like you guys first began to actually see yourself developing a fan base? Do you remember a point where I know you said you met that other band and you guys started getting on a bunch of bills together and stuff. Do you remember when you felt like people were coming to see Ridgeway shows? Was there a moment where things kind of evolved in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing because those shows we started throwing were lit when we were in high school.
Yeah.
At the Cuddle Pad, it was 200 kids in these tiny garages, and so I felt instantly I hopped into this oh my god, these shows are looking how I want them to look, all these Tumblr pictures of kids crowded into a space singing along, and people were learning the songs. So that was it. But very soon after I learned how fickle it was, everyone moved to college. Everyone went to college, everyone left, and I was like, okay, fuck. Even I went to college in Santa Barbara, and then it's okay, now that was easy. I didn't realize that was easy mode.
Yeah.
This is hard mode if you want to do this. So the fan base is kind of when do I think it really started? It was probably after the first record, so 2019. Keep in mind the band started in 2012.
Yeah.
So that's a long time after.
Damn, yeah.
We were a nobody for so long, just playing whatever shows we can, and then also doing tours that no one knew who we were at all. No one was excited about Ridgeway coming to town. They were excited about something else. And then
Ridgeway was there.
Ridgeway was there. And then that's how it started to build a little bit. All those tours. So some people still come out to shows that were at those shows.
Damn, that's crazy.
Which is cool. But I think it really started gaining a little bit more traction when the record came out, and when we started having this association with the scene that we live in, which is bands kind of Modern Color, Gleamer, Soft Blue Shimmer. These are our homies. This is our scene. Yeah. And started to grow together. And Spotify being the main source of music discovery these days. I think Ridgeway is on the Modern Color and Gleamer fans also Yeah. And we play after their shit, which is hella cool. Yeah. But it's just that I think goes into it. People are putting the dots together a little easier, that all of us bands, we all come from the same area, blood, kind of, because it's not even area. It's we all have the same blood, and a lot of us record with Corey. So I owe Corey a lot. He kind of has cultivated this sound, this scene, and I think that's when the fan base actually started, honestly, around 2020, 2019 for us. And that's also when we started attempting it's the Ridgeway Give album release show. Sure, yeah. And then it sold out, and the Marlowe one sold out, and then we upped the venue for the Wall of Stars, and it did really good. So it's I think that's that era. It's the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, it is really cool to look back and kind of see how things evolve in the internet age now. It's so different, I feel than it must have evolved prior to that. It'd be so cool to look back at the 90s and the 80s and see how aware some of these fan bases were of the scenes that a lot of these artists were coming from. Like, I almost think we're more aware of it now because things are so interconnected with, like, because you're right. Like, it's kind of nuts to me how quickly Spotify picks up on shit like that. Like, it's pretty wild that, like, if all these bands, like, for example, for the festival, right? The festival that we're throwing in August, if you go and you click through, like, a lot of the bands on the bill, like, a lot of the other artists will be and their fans also like.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see how quickly Spotify picks up on things like that in, like, all kinds of different scenes.
For real, yeah. I'm also, I don't really trust Spotify. In
I
terms
don't trust
of, because,
Spotify
like,
at all.
Another thing is like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
can you believe like my band is on like this band's fans also like, and then like I looked on my girlfriend's phone and it's not there.
Oh, interesting.
So I was like, is it like serving it to me?
I guarantee you it is.
So I was just like, oh, I don't know what the algorithm is there, but I want to start checking everyone's phone.
Dude.
Like, where's my band? Is it, well, who's on my band? It's like,
Yeah.
band also likes.
I mean, Spotify has like individualized algorithms in the same way that like TikTok does.
Yeah,
or
for
Instagram
sure.
does.
I mean, I think that kind of like proved it, the fact that it was different on two different phones.
Yeah.
But it makes me hopeful just because I want people that aren't like already so onto Ridgeway to be onto Ridgeway, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want someone that doesn't already their phone isn't hearing Ridgeway
Yeah.
to like also have Ridgeway on there. I don't know.
Do you feel like more people are finding you now from live shows or from like from streaming?
Ooh, that's very interesting. Right now, currently, probably like live shows. I think that's doing pretty good. Like, as long as we put like the shows we've been playing that have been like good big shows have done a lot for us. Like,
Yeah.
we went and played the Pure Hex record release in like
I'm such a Pure Hex fan, dude.
Oh yeah,
One of the best bands in the Bay.
we played their release show at Rickshaw Stop, and it was hella fun, hella packed, nearly sold out. And yeah, I felt like we played to a big audience of people that have seen us and haven't seen us. And then like a couple months ago, we opened for Sparta, House of Blues Anaheim, the small room. And I didn't know what to expect. I was like, older band, we'll see. And then it was like sold out, and everyone loved us.
Sick.
And I just think we're a good seller of ourselves when we're in front of an audience that's not our own. So I think that is actually a more tangible way that our band gets fans.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't had a viral anything, and I'm also not saying that we're super successful.
Yeah.
But we sell records and we sell shirts, and we have that's, I don't know. A lot of people buy the records and the shirts. People that wear the shirts, it feels like a street team.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Like, it's this band I saw. You should check them out. And
Yeah.
maybe sometimes they're like, okay, I will.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think some people get so overoccupied with some of the internet-based marketing, they forget the strength of things like that. Like, I think that's very real. Like, I think that I still truly believe that way of marketing is really real, and I think I've come to that opinion over the years, because I think I used to not think that at all. I used to think, like, internet is everything, like, nothing else matters, and that's very much not true. Like, I think even recently as a promoter, I realized that, like, I've really thought about and realized that, like, the legitimacy of just, like, putting flyers and shit like that around.
For real.
I think there's even things like that still work.
Yeah,
I think it hits a different part of people's brains.
Even I do tattoos, and I've been putting flyers around LA recently, and I'm like, it's bringing so much more attention and traction to what I'm doing. It's kind of funny. It's just like a real life thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not like relying on it, but it's like, I'm doing it whenever I can. Go put up some stupid little flyers with my tattoo designs and like on poles, and it's kind of like, it's getting real eyes from the real
You've
world.
gotten clients from that?
Oh yeah, I have.
Sick.
And it's not like, it's not relying on algorithm, and it just feels so refreshing to do anything that's not relying on algorithm.
Yeah, dude.
My band doesn't even post on the internet anymore, because I'm like, we're just playing the shows we get that we think are awesome, and then like that's like giving us the opportunities that we think are awesome.
Yeah.
But maybe we should be doing the internet so we can pop off on TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can kind of drive yourself insane trying to figure out what the right method is. But I think, like, there's legitimacy in both. And I think, like, not ever writing anything off is important. I think for a long time, I was really bad about that. Like, I think, like, for a long time, if something just didn't register in my brain immediately, I was like, oh, that's not a viable means to find success. And now I've definitely come around on that, and I think I'm more open to more things now. And like, I realize how there's like not just one way to do this. There's a million ways to do this, and like, I think you should be trying to take advantage of them, like, all. You know, it shouldn't just be one thing.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I think you should have your hands in a bunch of different buckets.
Yeah, I feel the same way, dude. Sick. All right, Alex, I think one last thing I wanted to ask you, but this has been great, man. I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Dude, hell yeah, I've had a good time.
Hell yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Okay, if there was like one overarching message that you could kind of spread through your music, one thing you hope people would get from it, like one message you could translate through your art, what would that be?
I would say it's like try to like solidify some of these memories you have from your life into some sort of creative process. I think that's a really funny meta message from Ridgeway, because a lot of the stuff we do is singing about memories and like physical objects, and then you bring it into art and you make a song, and that's a Ridgeway song. Yeah, that's what we do, and I think you guys should too. And I think you should not just let memories fade, and I think you should like give them life and of some sort. You can paint a picture, you can make a scrapbook, you can do anything, and like I think everyone needs to have a creative outlet, even if you're not a creative. And I think just document your emotions somehow, your memories, and that is so fun. You know what I mean? That's like what I do this for, and that's like the meaning behind it all is just kind of like a weird little documentation of where you were at or what happened in the past, and now it's kind of solidified. Now I hear all the Ridgeway songs and I'm like, I know what I'm singing about, and I'll never forget these memories because of these songs. And I want other people to have that too, because it's hella fun. So
that's sick.
I want you all to be creative, and I want you all to put those juices to solidifying some of the emotions you have at the time.
That's beautiful. Not just write things off. Actually think about them and figure out how they make you feel.
Yeah, for real. Think about it. Keep it around.
That's
Let
beautiful.
it linger.
Yeah. Let it linger.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you, dude. This was so much fun.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, bro. Ridgeway is playing Community Service Fest on August 2nd. I'm trying to remember what time you play off the top of my head. I said it
5 or 6 or 7.
Something like that.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's like 6:30 or 7 or something like that.
Prime time.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, thank you for sitting down, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them where they can follow you guys, stream everything.
Our name's Ridgeway. Hell yeah. It's Ridgeway or Ridgeway CA everywhere. So
hell yeah.
Instagram, Spotify. We have a website somewhere. You can find it. Google works.
And catch them live August 2nd.
And if you're making TikToks, use our sound, because I don't do that, and I would like our shit to pop off on TikTok, I guess.
Beautiful. Hell yeah. All right, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it, bro. Hell yeah. Music matters.